Hey everyone, so I'm extremely excited to bring you 1997's Academy Award winning Best Picture Titanic. Yes, I am finally reviewing it. I know a lot of you have been looking forward to this review because, well, it's an immensely popular film, especially at Council Rock South. A lot of people were asking me about it. I couldn't really give my opinion because, well, why I feel the way I feel about this movie involves a lot of spoilers. So, those of you that haven't seen this film, stop watching right now because I will be talking about certain aspects of this film which involve spoilers. So, you have been forewarned. The premise of this film, guys, involves a guy by the name of Jack, who is played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and he does a good job in this film. But Jack is this character who is very poor. He doesn't have a lot of money. He doesn't really do much, but he is adventurous at times with what time he has. He plays this card game. He ends up winning two tickets to go on the famous Titanic. His friend goes along with him, and then to juxtapose that, you meet Rose, who is this woman who can afford pretty much whatever it is she wants. And she's getting married to this jerk. And you figure that out right away, pretty much. But you guys know the premise now. Now it is time for me to give you the positives. And yes, there are a decent amount. I really liked this movie when it came to the special effects. Like, wow, you got immersed in this world because of that. They did so much work with having everything replicated so that it looked exactly like the Titanic and the 1900s. And props goes to that because, wow, you don't really see practical effects used too often. So I give this movie props with using that. And, wow, the set pieces in this film were quite incredible. I mean, sure, you can argue that there's only one set piece, the Titanic itself, but it's multi-layered where you have the first act where you see the oceanographers who are trying to find Titanic, and that's kind of interesting because of all the camera angles that are used to kind of show off the water, show off the equipment, show off the boat, and then you have the second act, pretty much, where you see the Titanic, and then the third act where you see the ocean again, except with all the debris and the Titanic actually sinking. That in itself is worth merits. The score in this film was also incredible. It's just so happens, guys, that I have been reviewing a lot of James Horner films. He's the composer of this film. This is, again, one of his best scores. He did such an amazing job. Like, I can't put into words how beautiful the score is. I have listened to this score several times. It is that great. It's perfect music for when you're driving. That's all there is to it. I also really enjoyed the directing. Like James Cameron, wow, he has such a way when it comes to directing a film. Like a director's job is kind of pretty much having hands-on material with everything. Like he's supposed to watch over everything, and it shows a lot with this film with how much detail James Cameron likes to show. Because this movie, at its heart, is all about the visuals, and he does a great job with that. Now, you can argue that he didn't do the visual effects, that it was like, a visual effect company, but he gave the final go-ahead with, does this look right? Is this precise? And he pretty much has the job of telling where the camera goes. Like, directing and director of cinematography, they have to work together, and the director basically has the go-ahead when it comes to director of cinematography. So, that's a fun fact for you guys. But I also just want to talk about the acting. Leonardo DiCaprio, he's one of those actors where those of you that don't know me, I haven't really been talking to other people about it, just mainly my friends, and most of you know this. I think Leonardo DiCaprio is a good actor. I just really haven't seen a film where I was like, yeah, best actor right there. This movie is no exception. I just really enjoy the fact that this was the movie that made him famous because he did a really good job in this role as Jack. He will forever be remembered as Jack. Simple as that. Kate Winslet, she did a good job. Bill Paxton was in this movie. Like, he was good in that, but he's always good in everything. So that's just the go-ahead. This movie is just so good when it comes to being on a technical achievement. Like, it will always be remembered as the film that kind of pioneered visual effects, as well as a couple other 1990 films, such as The Terminator 2, The Matrix, Forrest Gump, among others. But now I apologize, guys. Now I got to get into the negatives, and there are a handful. For starters, what the heck with the romance? Like, why didn't you develop it? Like, you are solely basing this romance, which, by the way, only gets 45 minutes of development or so. You were basing this off someone's aesthetics. Like, these two people only really like each other based on their looks. They don't really get to know each other. They've known each other for a day, and yet they have fallen in love, according to the scriptwriters. How? Please do explain to me. Like, I do not understand that, and that really affected the movie for me. Like, there is no way that could happen. And I'm sorry for those of you that believe in love at first sight, but it just doesn't work like that in the real world. And I've seen a lot of romances where they've actually developed the characters, and it shows. Lost in Translation, anyone? Perfect movie example for you. There, done. But now I want to dig into the story. The way this movie's structured, it's not the director's fault. It's more like the scriptwriter's fault, because you have the first half hour or so where you have these oceanographers who are in the ocean and trying to find the Titanic itself. And then for the next 2.5 hours or so, that's when you actually get on the Titanic. But by the time you get on the Titanic, you kind of feel exhausted because of all that you went through to actually get on there. And then you're following these two characters, essentially, who are having a good time. But in having a good time, that's like a 1990s structure. You have to kind of put your shoes in the 1900s. Like, if you're trying to be historically accurate, which this movie obviously was trying to be, then do so full-heartedly. Don't give 90%, give 110%. That's my motto. That's what this movie failed to realize. And just the fact that Rose let Jack paint her nude, that's what really kind of gets me. I could still not see that happening in the 1900s. I'm sorry. Like, I've even done some research. There is really no feasible way that would happen, especially when she was an upper class person and everyone was looking for her. Like, you would think if she was being sought after by all these people, that they would know where she was. You could say, oh, well, it's a big ship. But then it's like, you don't think that there are a lot of people looking for her? Like, come on now. It just feels over glamorized, and that's what really affected me liking this movie. It's so stressful. It's so stressful, and I feel like I'm venting to you guys, and part of that has to do with just the way this movie worked for me. It just didn't. It didn't at all. And it's not because this movie's so popular, per se. It's because of the fact that it is popular due to the romance. The romance that only has 45 minutes of development. Alright, I'm calm now. I just can't really go into even more detail on why these two characters shouldn't have fallen in love in one day. Sure, you can tell they like each other, but the love at first sight thing is a bunch of baloney. A bunch of baloney that has been proven countless times to be false, not only in other films or other TV shows or, in books, but in real life. And I'm sorry, I just think that this film really failed to realize that. And don't even get me started on that ending. Like, older Rose, I failed to realize this earlier. Older Rose is telling this story to the oceanographers in the beginning. So for these 3 hours, you're hearing it from this old narrator, who, by the way, she talks really slowly. I remember when I was on the Titanic. So it wasn't just 3 hours. It was probably like 6 or 9 hours that these oceanographers were like hearing this story. So I felt bad for them when she threw the diamond in the ocean, like the heart of the ocean. Like, why? Why would you do that? These people had to listen to you for that long, and then you say, oh, I think I lost the diamond, so now I'm going to throw it in the ocean. Sure, you can argue that that is simply because she wants them to find it for themselves, but why would you have them listen to you for that long? That's what really annoyed me. More so than the romance. That's what annoyed me. And you can say that, oh, well, it's being sentimental because Jack would want that. It's like memorable. It's the message of letting go. But you let go all those years ago. You let him off the raft. Like, that board could have easily fit 2 people. And instead, you let him die. You let him die. So you let go of him a long time ago. And you are just stressing me out about this movie. I hate that ending, guys. I am so sorry. I really hate that ending, and I cannot believe that the director gave the go-ahead. James Cameron, you are not a sentimental guy. You are a guy that can actually tug at the heartstrings with Terminator 2 and Aliens, to name a few. Do not do this again. Do not. With Avatar 2, do not do this to me. Or any audience members, for that matter. I am sorry the way I feel about this movie, guys. I know a lot of you are probably going to get angry at this review, but that's how I feel about this movie. I just stresses me the heck out. But with that said, I'm still going to give it a 4 out of 5 star rating, or for those like letter grade, a B minus. Should it have won Best Picture? No. Should it have won Best Director? Yes, it did. Best Picture should have gone to either LA Confidential or Good Will Hunting for this year. End of story, guys. My next Best Picture review will be 1998's The Shakespeare in Love, which it's an interesting film. That's all I'm going to say. But I hope you guys look forward to that review. I can't wait to review it. And let me know your guys' thoughts on Titanic. I know a lot of people love this, so I look forward to hearing about your thoughts on it. And as always, thank you for watching. And please hit the subscription button. And have a great rest of your day, everyone.